twist. Still alive! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Plot Twist, Still Alive. I am your hostess with the mostest, 3-time cancer survivor and chaos coordinator, Crystal with a K. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support this freaking awesome podcast. We've hit over 1,000 downloads. Woo woo, party over here. And today we're doing something else that's kind of brand new for me. Other than forcing my husband to do a podcast with me, this is actually our first man guest. So everybody say hello to Aaron. Aaron, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So today we are going to talk about something that I think happens to most people when they go through hard things, but it sounds like in your circumstances, which I completely relate to this, life just starts shitting rain on you. It starts storming and you're like, it can't get any worse. And then it does. And your whole world is turned completely upside down. I think we should start at the beginning. If you have never listened to Plot Twist Still Alive, we do use dark humor. This is 18 and up, and we do curse, or I curse. Aaron's basically an altar boy. No, I'm just kidding. Tell me a little bit about kind of what your life looked like before everything started changing.
Very much life by design. Had 3 kids, married, running a business together, traditional house in a neighborhood in, a small town, raising the kids, doing activities with them, counterbalancing just life in general. So what I would consider very traditional, but
the American dream.
The hope is things that we had planned at that time were actually coming together. Business was thriving, so it gave us a lot of opportunities to do things with the kids, put in the pool, move from a smaller house to a bigger house, doing all the things that were put into place for now and setting up the future. So life was going really smoothly, and career had changed from before where those opportunities weren't going to be there. I was a teacher and a coach for 12 years before.
Really? Oh my God, I have so much respect for teachers.
And at the middle school.
What?
So a complete shit show there.
Yeah.
Now when things happen, I'm like, well, I've seen that. Or my oldest is in middle school now, and it's going, yeah, this is what you're going to experience.
Sounds about right. Well, thank you for teaching our youth for so many years, but now you get to deal with that through your kids. Okay, so then when you did that career change, this gave you more opportunity to spend time with your family, it sounds like, which you are a big family man from a little bit that I know about you. What started shifting in your life that really kind of ripped the rug out from under whatever was happening? Was it just little things at first, or did it all happen at once? What did that look like?
Yeah, there were little things for a couple years leading up to divorce and separation. There was, going to counseling because some things weren't right. We were both perfectionists at that, time, and I still am almost guilty to a fault at times of that, but working on things, and if it's good, how can it be better? And that mindset in business and other facets of life is good. I mean, it's not always ideal in a marriage necessarily, but there were some things that were issues, I think, when we had first been together that never went away and became more and more as you spend more years with someone. So it was leading towards separation, and my mindset at that time was to do anything and everything possible to avoid that. And that's kind of where, leading up to it, there were some things that changed in my life on faith side to going, now I'm getting a lot of signs from God and from people sending me stuff and messages, and pausing for a moment to go, what's going on here? And so with that, I was getting prepared for the shit show that evolved over the last couple of years, and I didn't know it. So it was just little things that became bigger and bigger things, and the writing on the wall was there.
So you weren't completely blindsided?
It was gradually, and with business, with personal life, with going to the gym or learning a new hobby, it was like, we can figure it out. And that was the mindset of, we will just figure it out as long as we just keep everyone together, it's going to be okay. And it quickly hit a road of, this is a black and white non-negotiable here.
I didn't have to work with my ex. So that's a whole nother fucking layer of difficulty. Nobody wants to work with their ex, especially if it's not like, hey, we're amicable, we're both gonna divorce. Mine was not. Mine was horrible and very toxic. And so I'm glad that I'm not in it. But in that moment, I couldn't even imagine having to see that person at work or figure that out. So how did you navigate that?
Obviously the group that we were in, we separated and stayed in the same brokerage, same office space, but there's 40 offices, but in essence, we were still in the same space. We just kind of agreed to not be there at the same time.
So you had like schedules?
Yes. As weird as that is. But then, client overlap. We would do a lot of times work with one would help on the buy side, one would help on the listing side. So knowing business in the big picture of it is going, how are we going to navigate this moving forward? Because now clients are confused on who to come to. So the group that was in place, I retained, and then she went and started her own, business at that point. And so over time, it has evolved and separated because naturally clients just decide who they want to work with and not, and there's a natural split. But very awkward at first, walking through hallways, and it's like, oh shit, okay, here comes this person. We're going to try to avoid each other, but everyone else is watching at this point, and we're in a public place. So
that has to be awkward.
Let's just roll with it, and
yeah,
they're
and
looking for drama.
You have and people like drama. Let's be honest, man. The office must have been just a buzzing with like what everyone was thinking and doing. So, do you feel like at that time you guys were able to kind of keep it out of the workspace, or do you feel like it ended up like becoming a shit show anyway?
100% separate. I will always give credit really on both of our sides, because both sides wanted to not create a narrative. Kids are in the community. We both know way too many people in this community. So during separation, we can handle it a lot of different ways. And so business was never an issue. It was never a fight over, well, they're now choosing to work with you versus me. There was zero drama with that. And that honestly is still the case today, because there's still overlap years later. So that was never a concern. We're not at the same brokerage anymore, which made, that separation a little bit easier, but there was no drama there. And I'm telling you, there was a lot of people looking for it and asking questions, but there wasn't anything to
little nosy Nancy's and shit. Mm-hmm. Like, what? So tell me really what's going on. That I do give you a lot of credit, and your ex, like that takes a lot, because personal feelings, especially if they're hurt feelings or things like that, like it's hard to keep your mouth shut. It's hard to do that. So kudos to both of y'all, because I am not that big of an adult. I'm still a kid about some things, and I'd been like, one of us has to quit or die, because we're not doing this. Again, ultimately, y'all are both deciding to be bigger people and make sure that your kids have funding to be taken care of. So like it is in your best interest to both work together, but you don't always see that in the moment. I know I wouldn't have seen it. And so what was the time frame of all of this?
A couple years, to be honest. It was, at times you get busy, whether it's stuff with the kids, stuff with business, vacations. Vacations are always easy, like a reset. But then when you start leaning on vacation to always be your reset and common ground, on both sides, you start realizing that. But yeah, you look at a couple years leading up to it, and then May of 23 was when we separated. And then now I'm thrown into this new world of what is going on. I haven't been a single male for 15 years. Life's a hell of a lot different that I'm discovering quickly.
Tinder and Bumble and weird shit like that.
I had no idea what that was, but my DMs did not disappoint. I was like, what in the world is this? People do this? I can remember asking friends, and I'm like, is this normal now? And they're like, well, tell me what. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you who, and I'm not going to show you what, but this is not uncommon, apparently. An eye-opening experience.
So you were not on the apps, but you
I was not, and still not on the apps, but
you had those people sliding in. I think back in the day, it was a little different. Like women and men, again, different. So I briefly did the apps, briefly on and off. I kept getting off. It was like there was no way to meet people in real life, because my experience when I was single young is like you went out and you met people, or you met people through mutual friends. I would go out when I was single and try to meet people, and everyone's on their phones and nobody's like paying attention or talking to you, and they're just like swiping in public. Like people would go sit at bars and swipe. So against my better judgment, I got on the apps multiple times, and the things men would say was insane. And I probably said some crazy shit too, because I was single, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll shoot my shot. But no, good for you for not, because you're not missing anything. If you're out there and single, you're really not missing anything. And I know there's those stories where people are like, oh, we met on an app, it's fine. I'm like, that's great. How many fucking crazy people or catfish or just mean, bad people did you have to like sift through to get to that one person? And if you met them the first time, awesome. But that was not my experience. So good for you for not being on Tinder, Bumble, or any of those things. So you had the thirsty people, young ladies coming. Okay. And you're also a single dad. Like you have them for X amount of times and you're a dad and then they're gone and you're like, what do I do with my hands? What do I do now? So how are you juggling that?
I created the priority and just mapped that out when I had my, quiet time and alone time and sort of what's the most important. And honestly, protecting the kids' interest, giving them as much stability as possible, keeping them in the same home, keeping them in the same schools, seeing their friends, seeing, family. That was my priority. Keep the business going, of course, because that's what pays bills and helps with stability. But I committed so much time to them that I had to really pause at some point and go, are you taking care of you? And it was more brought up to me from other people than to myself, because I want to be the caregiver. I want to be the rock. And that is 100% what I still do today. But all of a sudden now I have, like you had mentioned, half of the week where I'm going, what do I do now? I literally could just disappear for 2 days in essence, and no one's watching and no one's, necessarily needing me. So that has been, even still to today, odd.
When you're in a relationship, you're the person that's in the relationship. And especially if the relationship isn't good, I lost myself in mine and I had to refigure out who the fuck I was after, not just as a mom, but like as a person. And even aside from being a parent, like you're multidimensional. You're not just a dad. You are also Aaron and you have things that you like and dislike. But I think sometimes you get so absorbed in those things, you forget that. And then when you're sitting in that space with no kids to take care of, with nothing else to do, I think finding yourself is like a huge part of that. And you said like faith was one of the things you feel like you started leaning into that more.
Yes. It was a pattern that probably 6 months before separation, my business coach, every time we'd meet on Fridays, that was the first thing we talked about, doing the Bible app every day, sharing that Bible app verse with friends that now have become rocks in my life, and having those moments to share. So that foundation was getting created. So when I tell people that God was reaching out to me to really prepare me for shit I didn't know was about to happen, 100% believe that. It was really carrying on those things. So it's easy to get sidetracked and go, all right, you're getting pulled in all different directions. There's people I know, a hell of a lot of people I didn't know that were coming, some probably looking just for drama and seeing if I would talk about it. And absolutely, that was non-negotiable. And then others that were there for seasons and really helped me through certain parts of adversity or just a mindset. I had a friend say, well, why don't you try something new every time you don't have the kids? And it could be something small. Go try a different ice cream every time. Just go to
that is
the local
great
shop.
Advice, actually. Yeah. I love that. And
doesn't
so
have to be this huge thing. I did, and I messaged her on the way, and I said, on my way to get ice cream. And she said, well, tell me what it was. And then the next time I did it, kind of the same thing, but give myself something to look forward to that was just for me and only my time. Because frankly, as you had mentioned during marriage, there were parts of me that got lost in just being dad, being caregiver, business, that juggling act, and taking time for myself. I would feel guilty a lot of times, which wasn't necessarily healthy either.
Wait, you have mom guilt too? That's wild.
100%.
I thought only the moms. No, and that's a fair thing to bring up. I've been the mom, the caregiver, the wife for a long time. And then when I became, again, single, I was like, what do I want to do? And I thought, I'll find joy in dating. I'll find joy in these other things. But really what I needed to do was focus on me. Getting diagnosed with breast cancer about a month into a divorce, I mean, my life fucking completely flipped around. I think it even took that for me to really figure out who I was and also to know my strength and what I could withstand, because sometimes it takes really hard shit to make you have perspective in life again. It sounds like you handled it like an adult, very maturely. I'm sure you still struggled. You're in a community. Again, you and your ex are working in the same area or in the same field, all of that. What was dating like? And did you find that was more distracting, or did you enjoy it? Was it, or what was it? What was that? Was it a mixed bag?
It was mixed for sure, because okay, so divorce happens and, rejection, however you look at it. And now all of a sudden you're appealing to other people. It's like, well, okay, all right, I still got it. I haven't been single in 15 years and was fully committed in that relationship to the point that there was no entertaining. There was no any extracurriculars ever. And I can say that point blank. And now all of a sudden I go out maybe to Mosey's by myself and have a drink and just sit there, to not sit at home by myself and just get out amongst people, and people are coming up to you and talking. And a lot of them are just casual conversations or just really good people that you meet out and you're like, never would have talked to this person unless I put myself in this environment. And then others are more of like the packed traditional bars that I'm going out to with friends, and just mind blown on what is going on a consistent basis in the town, that I'm like, this shit's been going on for how long? And they're not surprised by it, and single friends are not surprised by it. I'm mind
oblivious.
blown. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So if they wear that color shirt on this certain night, that means something.
Oh, are we talking about swinging now?
Yeah, I'm just like,
God, dude,
didn't have any idea that this was really going on. I'm like, this is a TV bullshit. This isn't here.
Okay, I'm glad somebody else brought it up, because I've been waiting on, like, New Braunfels has, like, which I'm not knocking. Like, if that is your thing, go for it, man. I'm not a sharer. I'm not gonna, I don't, because I get jealous, and then I'll be thinking things. And now that I don't have nipples, I'm gonna be like, are we gonna, like, like, that's a whole, anyway. Actually, Drew, when he came down, I met him at a bachelor party. He was telling me all about how this couple was trying to pick him up at Lone Star Lounge. And I was like, no way. The bachelor had a shirt with, like, pineapples on it or some shit.
Upside down or no?
Upside down.
Well, there you go. I learned that too.
I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'm going to be real. I'm a little bit offended. I was single for years, and nobody ever asked me to join their threesome. Not one. And I feel like I'm pretty attractive.
You didn't put the vibes out. So
I guess not.
That?
That's weird to me. When I worked as a bartender, I always had people wanting a throuple, and I'm kind of disappointed, New Braunfels. Nobody ever tried to pick me up. And maybe they did, and I didn't notice, but I think I give the vibe more than you do. Like,
I definitely was just sitting there entertaining myself or with just a few friends, and they're not putting out that vibe. I know them. That's not what we're out looking for. But one of the first times we went out, I'm standing at the bar. There's a male and female standing beside me. I don't know if they're married or not, but the guy starts asking about a drink. I had ordered a certain old fashioned with a certain type of bourbon, was specific on it and how to do things. So he started asking me questions. No problem. Had conversations on bourbon with men all the time. Next time I get up there, they're still there, but they switch spots. Well, now she's talking, getting closer the whole time she's talking. I'm like, all right, whatever, awkward. But, again, keep to your own, order your drink, go sit with your friends, no big deal. And I look across the bar, and there's 5 people that I know. We're not like close friends, but we know each other. And they're like crying, laughing. And I look up, like throwing my hands up. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And they were just like signaling me to come over. So order my drink, tell them bye, and I walk over. And they're like, that's a swinger couple. They've been trying to pick up people. Stand over here and watch, like just watch this shit show unfold. Well, that's what they were doing. And that's when I was like, all right.
Oh, you weren't even special? That's a bummer.
Yeah, they were just there.
Anyone that was like, hey, you know what?
Was.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. So if you are a swinger and you need a place to live, New Braunfels is going to be the place for you.
Apparently so, because that conversations like that have been brought up, or then I start noticing things because I'm observant. I will watch. I'm not going to be the loudest person in the room ever.
Oh, that's always me.
Yes, I will let people like you
let
be the
me
loudest
do it.
person. That's fine.
Hold my beer. I got it.
I appreciate that, because you're going to do it and I can sit back and be entertained. So all this is good. And so you just start noticing things out. And I've said it to you before, just another conversation, but it was a joke for a while. I'm getting hit on by the mom or the daughter, and I say all
you got
of
the
age,
daddy vibe
like
now.
The 21 to 24-year-old at the bar, and then it's the 38 to maybe 48 range, and I'm joking to myself, like, no one's in their like early to mid 30s around here. Like, what is going on? It's
Can I get a regular
way too
age?
young, or I don't know. They're kind of concerning because of what they're saying in the first conversation. So it was eye-opening experience going from living just a very, very traditional marriage, focusing on everything, every part of that with kids, running the business, all the things. And now I'm thrown into this environment that I'm like, I didn't ask for this shit. Like, what in the world is going on? It was kind of funny for a little while, but then you're going routinely, this is reality.
Well, if you seem like pretty wholesome, like you do want that traditional, right? Like you want that relationship that you want to date intentionally, and eventually, if you settle down, you find the right person to settle down with, and you're committed to that person. That had to be like you fucking stepped into an alternate dimension.
Yeah, it's like going on vacation somewhere or like a cruise, and you're like, okay, all right, not as shocked there, but I'm like, I'm just going to a local bar here, just trying to go hang out or run into some people out, and I'm going, what in the world?
These are people that come to you for business, homie. These are your neighbors. You don't even know the upside down pineapple next door. I saw it come. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Mrs. Jones or whatever your name is. Honestly, out of all of my guests, I'm actually shook that you're the one.
This is where it gets brought up. I've been waiting. So yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate you.
I was as shocked as anyone. I promise you that much.
I'm going to tell you right now, do not fucking, I tell all my guests, you can contact me after if you're like, hey, could you maybe take that out? That's staying, motherfucker. We are not taking that out.
No
I'm
edit.
sorry. That's staying. So Your life did not go crazy because you joined a throuple, though.
So trust was a thing, and I think to an extent it's still there, just in a relationship, because I want to trust that person who I'm with, and not have those doubts, and I'm still processing that, to be honest, and I think I've come a long way through just self-reflection or past therapy that I had done during, actually while we were married, individual and couples. So a lot of skills and tools that I had, but what gave me the most clarity always was sitting in silence. So having those days off and not being scared to sit at home and let it be real quiet, because that's when a lot more clarity came. So I feel like I've gone through different shifts and transitions and said, all right, going out, occupying yourself, running crazy, going to the gym, working, kids, helping with all their activities and events, and just diving into that. And then I started going out more, and it was like, that's not really giving me any joy right now either. Sitting, having purposeful conversations with some of these friends that now are ingrained, that I'm leaning on. And I'm getting messages in the morning from my buddy Gus and saying, are you up? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at the gym. But
by the way, he's going to love you said his name, because he's one of my biggest fans. He's such a sweetie. Him and his wife are like the best.
He's truly a brother to me. And he's not faltered during any of this. And so we knew each other and we were friends before, but, the find out who your friends are.
100%. In divorce, you find, and in going through it, and again, I'm speaking from my own experience, but whenever that happened, there were people I thought were best friends, very, very close, and they shifted and took sides, and we did not handle it with nearly as much grace as you guys. It was a very difficult situation, and I feel like at the time it was so personal that they believed these things about me, because there was a lot of things that were being said that were untrue and things, and I got so caught up on it, and I'm like, how could you believe this about me? How could you believe that? And then I just decided I don't need to defend myself. Those people fell off. And I realized later, I was like, they were never meant to be in my life like that anyway. And all the people that are not here anymore, I'm glad, because I've hit some way harder shit than that. And I want people that are going to be ride or die next to me and be there, like you said, family, basically, because they become family, the people that are there through those things. Yep. So
yeah, there was a few different group chats, but one that's one of the most important ones to me. It's Matt, Phillip, and Gus, and we talk every day. Like, that hasn't faltered since even a little bit before the separation, but it strengthened, and we've all been through a lot more than we signed up for in the last few years. And as all of that's happened, all it's done is strengthen us. Having people like that to lean on helped me very much stay grounded, because it's easy to start going on a different path, almost pulling away from society too much to go, hey, it would be okay if you just came over, or let's go to that, and go, I'm getting really comfortable sitting here now. So it was just this constant shift. I had my health. I was going to the gym all the time. Business was still doing fine. I knew what I wanted to make every month, knew what I needed to make every month. Never was a concern. So I was able to do all the things for the kids. And then now I'm able to take an extra fishing trip. Maybe we're to go on a hunting trip. Yes, you want to go do this? I can. And I went from like periods of saying yes to a lot to, hold on, I need a reset. And so it was back and forth. So truly saying I felt like I was living two different lives. I don't feel like that as much now. I still have my moments where I do, but really trying to remember what's important. Staying off social media about anything with the separation and divorce was 100% non-negotiable for me. I still don't talk about it on there. I'll talk about it on here. That's fine. But I just didn't want to create that
Don't
narrative.
worry. I only have like 30 people that listen. Gus is one of them. And you. So 28.
He's going to share it with everyone and back home, because
That's right.
He's a celebrity now.
I love that.
So yeah, so it was, it's just all of that. I was very purposeful on how I wanted to protect the kids in our community. As you had mentioned, there's so much overlap on mutual friends. There was a lot of mutual friends that we met during us being together, and I told them all, you do not have to unfriend the other person just because you want to be able to me, or vice versa. Or, you know what, you want to be her friend and you're going to pull away from me. Like, I give you grace and freedom in that. So over time, people get to make those decisions.
I was going to ask, though, truthfully, do you feel like most people were able to straddle the fence? Because in my experience, they weren't. They ended up going one side or the other.
Correct. There's definitely, I would say, a handful that still teeter on that. Most people made their decision within a few months. It felt like quickly.
I think I preferred it that way. I would rather be you, and not because I wanted it that way. It was just like I always had it. I'd always overthink it. Like everything that I do or tell you is that going back to that person. And trust is huge for me, but also just like loyalty is really big to me. So if I felt like that about my friend, it would kind of ruin the friendship, to be honest. And I was just curious if that was your experience too.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick transition. There was a few things that happened within a few months that I felt forced some people's hands that said, I'm not really sure what that looks like, or I heard this, and I'll let them make their determination. And honestly, silence at times has been some of the best, loudest things I could have ever done.
I agree. I think that sometimes when you're quiet, you let the other person, and I'm not speaking specifically about your ex, I'm just saying in general, in relationships, in friendships, in my experience, if it's been a non-healthy or an unhealthy, toxic situation, or sometimes I'm like, maybe it was just me or maybe it was a season, but especially if other people are speaking on it and I just stayed quiet, usually they show who they are, exactly who they are. And I highly suggest, whether it's a relationship or a friendship, if someone shows you who they are, fucking believe them. Just believe them. They're doing you a favor. And then you can decide, do I want to stay friends with this person or this one? Typically, people are going to lean towards the less dramatic one, which sounds like in your experience, if you're staying quiet, you are the less dramatic one. So I do think, again, that takes a lot of willpower though, man, and boundaries. And it sounds like you have great ones, even though it probably was a struggle. And I know this is, you said 2023 and all that, but so it's been almost three-ish years. But still, even in that, to have enough restraint and respect for your children in your life, like to have those boundaries. Who are you? You need to write a fucking.
It was purposeful. I promise
write a
you
book.
That. It was. There were the the nights of just the general emotions, the anger, the nights of sad and sitting there going like, I never would have dreamt that at 40 years old now this is what life looks like. Like that was I had told in a therapy session before while we were still married was. My biggest fear at that time, I said, was if we actually do separate and divorce. My parents are still married, and grandparents are married for their entire lives. So that was what I grew up with. That wasn't even something brought up. So,
Which is crazy because nowadays it's like half of marriages. I've done it myself. I've been divorced. Some people stay married and they shouldn't stay married. I know it's hard when you come from generationally that, but I also just think sometimes staying married to the wrong person is literally sacrificing yourself. You're becoming a martyr, and showing that to your kids. Like people say they stay together for the kids, but I feel like they're, especially because a lot of times they'll divorce when the kids are all grown up. I almost feel like you're ripping their whole entire world apart because they were living in this false narrative that mom and dad loved each other and were fine.
Well, and they're also getting a picture of that's what love looks like.
That's what love, and that especially if y'all are not good at treating each other well, or sometimes you bring out the worst in each other, your kids see that. And then they're like, oh, this is what love looks like. Sure. This is what marriage looks like. I get that like divorce can have a stigma, but I would much rather be where I am now. My kids still ask me like, well, why are you divorced? And we'll get into that. I'll do my own podcast about that one day, but this is not my story. We're talking about Aaron. And this isn't even the craziest shit that's happened to him. So
no, I was going to add one part of that, maybe 3 months after I had friends over, barbecues. I was honestly doing that after some of the shocks of being out in general. It's like, maybe it's safer to just
stay home,
control who I want to come over or go to houses. But sitting there having a conversation, I did notice that depths of conversations were improving and increasing. Instead of having a lot of casual conversations, the circle was smaller, but there was a lot more merit and purpose to it. And I was going through some shit. Now other people have, millions of people gone through some real shit too. And so we're having conversations on real stuff that's happened to one another and reflecting on it. And have you thought of this and back and forth? I'll never forget getting told, I'm in the middle of a conversation and said, I haven't seen this you in a very long time. And I'm glad you look so relaxed and relieved and you're back. And they said, I see it in your face. I see it in your posture. It took me back. Like I paused for a minute, continued the conversation. And then I can remember going in the other room and just like sitting there, like wanting to breakdown. I'm like, shit, do I cry? Like all the emotions came because it's like you finally break for a moment. I've been running so hard and trying to figure out life in general and prioritizing what I've said all along is kids and stability, making sure work is staying up. But then to have someone to go, I like this version you better, or I haven't seen that. I'm going, how long have I been that way? And if they're saying that, who else has seen that? Really brought me a lot of emotion that I wasn't expecting. And it was a real comment. Maybe I am better off in this situation because it wasn't the only person that has said that to me over years now. You're just running crazy and you're in it and you don't notice it. You don't notice yourself changing. To have that getting said just out of the blue, I was like, oh shit, okay.
Well, and sometimes you're trying to force happiness or you're on autopilot, and you're in a relationship, especially if you're just like, I want it to work. I want to stay married. I want to, you're like telling yourself, I'm happy. No, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And realistically, again, you're not really paying attention to how you actually feel. You're just trying to force a circle into a square and it's not going to work. But I think that everyone needs a couple of outlets at least. I mean, you don't need a lot of friends, but you do need some solid people that can be honest with you, which is huge in friendship, in relationships. That's literally, to me, like the building block. If I can't trust you, like,
sure,
what are we even doing? But to have someone that's also honest with you and in a kind way, but to tell you like, because you wouldn't have listened to that if you were married. Like, hey, you seem really fucking miserable. And what the fuck is going on?
To take offense to it and be like, how dare you? Like, you would have been pissed off.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
My life is
bullshit,
great.
like,
Look at it.
Me.
I have a pool, motherfucker. What do you have? No. And so I love that you were able, that other people could see that you were being Aaron, like being who you are supposed to be,
I appreciate the fact that they felt good enough or comfortable enough around me to say it. Or didn't care if it was comfortable or not, and they're a good enough person and friend to say it to me and mean it. And I knew it was valid because of who said it. And that's why I always went in the other room and just kind of had like a mixed emotions moment.
Ron Burgundy, I'm in a glass case of emotions.
It was interesting. So
right when life starts, you start looking happy and your friends are noticing and all of those things. And like you said, you had your faith, you had your health, you were getting into a place where you were doing things with intention, trying new things, new ice creams, all of the shit. What happened? What was next?
Yeah, brain surgery is what happened. So
just a smidgen of brain surgery.
Just minor thing. It went from the only procedure I've ever had done was wisdom teeth removed.
What?
So not knowing anything about anything.
So you'd never had like a surgery?
That was the first one.
Your brain. You really went for it, didn't you?
Let's just break it in. Let's go big.
Wait, so rewind. Brain surgery. Spoiler alert, it was brain surgery. What, how did you, why? What happened? Were you having signs? Like what was going on?
By the time we did the MRI to discover and to find the brain tumor, that had been growing for quite a while. So when I started tracking back and they tell me this, I was on my way to the coast for my youngest birthday.
So how long after the divorce? This is so you said
a little over a year. Like it was the summer after.
2024-ish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So July of 24. So this is almost verbatim a little over a year later. And so again, I'm doing all the things. I'm feeling great about it. I've got a grasp. Been over a year now. Like, let's kick ass.
Yeah.
But I wasn't feeling right. And I didn't know, but I also was moving so quickly. You just are like, well, shit, I'm getting older. I kept getting told, well, you're over 40 now. Your vision's a little bit messed up. Headaches, tiredness.
So you were bringing this up to healthcare providers or no?
I did. So I got treated 2.5 years prior to that for vertigo. So I went in, I said, just dizziness when I'm looking up or in the gym, I'm like moving too quickly with the kids. I'm getting these waves of dizziness and a little bit of nausea. And said, we'll do these exercises. It's vertigo. Take these pills for 6 weeks. Nothing was ever really a full solution. So it gets better. Then all of a sudden I get some other symptoms, but the headaches, even going to the dentist and saying I'm waking up with headaches, they're like, oh, you're grinding your teeth. Fair enough. So I do have some markings on my teeth to where it shows. Honestly, it was from the fucking stress of what was going on before, leading up to separation. Then
you're
after,
like, I don't talk shit. I just grit my teeth.
And they were like, you're doing that. I'm waking up. My mouth is sore. Head's hurting. But it was like lower part of my skull and like at my neck. And so the next step was, well, I think maybe it's a pinched nerve or you just get some realignment. So go to
Like chiropractor?
chiropractor. They do the same adjustment for about 6 weeks. I feel decent that day. 2 days later, by the time I go back, I'm in pain. Everything's back. If I would cough or sneeze, like literally when it got to the peak of it being like, we've got to fucking do something. This is way too much. I'd be driving my truck, and if I'm going to sneeze, I would have to pull over. So once I would sneeze, I would just get this brain would like feel like it's locking up. My shoulders would raise, and I almost couldn't move for a little while and just get these like throbbing pains in my head. Coughing, sneezing would all kind of have the same effect, but the sneezing was by far the worst. They did an X-ray, and they said, "Oh, you have a twisted vertebrae." Well, I'm not a doctor, but a fucking twisted vertebrae shouldn't feel like that to me. But I was like, well, I don't know. This doesn't seem right.
So you hadn't, and I'm just asking mostly because if people are having signs, like, again, I like people to learn things about this. You hadn't had any sort of brain MRI or scan other than an X-ray.
Nothing
and
until
no one suggested
July,
that?
and no one had suggested it.
What?
So I'm getting treated for a lot of different little things. I'm still going to the gym, but now I'm not doing, squats with the bar. I'm not going to drop that on myself because I get dizzy at times. Or when I stand up, I would feel it. So adjusting a lot of things that I was doing in life, I'm not going to stop. I still need to, the kids want me to play. I've got to work. I've got to do all these things. I'm still sleeping at night. I'm not getting fevers, not doing this. There was nothing that was truly impeding me, but there were things I was always having to overcome.
No. You have to fucking pull over when you sneeze.
Well,
I feel like that is impeding
after
your life
everything else for a while. I was like,
It's fine. I'll get used to it.
let's just figure it out. So I was figuring it out.
Take some Allegra. It'll be fine.
Well, the turning point was going to the gym, getting to the office, and I remember getting out of my truck. And then I remember an agent shaking me, waking me up, and not knowing why I'm on the ground in the parking lot and I look up and she wakes me up and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? She's like, you okay? And then I don't know why I'm there. And I look and my bag's like drug across the parking lot that had been open. So shit everywhere. I'm like, this isn't normal. Like there's nothing about this normal.
So you said this was going on almost 2.5 years. So you said
it progressively got worse. By that time, that was like late spring.
Was that
these things
2025?
were of 24.
24.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
surgery
Okay.
happened in August of 24.
Okay.
But leading up to it, just things progressively worse to where if I would pick up something too heavy, my youngest wanted to be picked up, especially at that time. And so picking them up and like and once I'd set them down, I would feel just like this weird rush of it just felt like blood rush into my head, but never passing out at that point, never anything else. And it would go away. Like 10 seconds later, I'm back. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is not right. But they're saying, do these treatments, do all these things. And I kept bringing it up, but no one took it to the next level until I went to a different chiropractor. And this gentleman was suggested by another person in town that I highly trusted. Calvin Plum was his name. Truly saved my life. He's in Green, and met with him, told him everything. He didn't even start trying to do any manipulation or anything on me until we sat down and talked for at least 30 minutes about the last couple years of this slow progression and what had been told, what had been done. And it was important to him to find out all of this. He said, sorry, I'm going to take notes every time we meet. I'm going to have all of this. Well, eventually he was able to turn all those notes over to the neurology team to say, this is what I've been tracking. This is what was said before. So whenever he turned that over to the neurology team, they had all of this already. He said after 3 weeks, if it's not at all better, we're going to get an MRI and we're going to do something. So tried a couple things. Again, I felt pretty good. I felt his treatments were a little bit better to where maybe 2 days I would feel good and then it would all come back.
Hooray, out of 7.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, let's see each other Monday and Thursday so then I can rock through the weekend.
Switch it
Sunday,
out.
who cares if it's a shit show? I can sit at home, like not a big deal. So yeah, again, taking care of the things that I knew were important to me, but then now there's a concern because there's stuff I don't understand. Suggested the MRI. He calls me July 17th. Yeah, of that year. I'm getting ready to step into my daughter's dance little recital. She was there for a week-long camp, and he calls me. He's like, hey, do you have a minute? Sure. He doesn't know I'm getting ready to step into that. I took the call, one of those things.
You said, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, and he said, we found a tumor. I don't know how big it is, but the scope of where the MRI was, we caught part of it. So it could be really small. It could be substantially more. You have 4 more MRI scheduled for next week. Map out your week next week. Don't do anything strenuous. We need to find out what this is and find out just in general what's going on. But we've looked at it, we've researched it, and it's ependymoma. I've never heard of that. And he goes, but don't you dare Google it. Don't look it up. And I said, can you give me something? Because my mind's racing. And now I'm seeing people walk in. I'm like, fuck, I got to go to this thing. I got to put myself together. He said, I'll send you something. He said, but just don't Google it. And I said, well, you're good for the next hour because I'm about to be in the dance recital. So in an hour, I want
trapped.
some substance. So put myself together, go in there. That's, of course, all I'm thinking about the whole time is watching this and looking at her, having those emotions of like, brain tumor. That's all I'm hearing is I'm dying. Like that is what is replaying over and over again. And that was a couple years ago now. So she was 7 at that time. And I'm going, there's, all the emotions of what am I going to miss? I've got 3 kids that at this time were all under 10. And, get out of the recital, start looking at what he's telling me. And that's such a wide range of things. It's saying from a few years to 5 years to if it's benign, could be removed and, could live a fairly productive life. There could be some lingering issues, depending on how the surgery goes. Like there's a million things. As having to go out of town that weekend with both sides of the family and ex and new boyfriend and this person and that person to celebrate my youngest birthday.
You guys go on vacation?
We went for his birthday to Port Aransas. We have always celebrated their birthdays for their birthday dinner on their birthday. We all go. Everyone's always invited. And he wanted to go there for his birthday. And we had agreed to during divorce proceedings that we were not going to force the kids to have separate dinners, separate birthday parties because we couldn't be adults. So, yep, there we are.
I know we're talking about your brain tumor. That's very serious. But again, you need a fucking award. Like somebody needs to bring this man. I'm never doing that, but I'm very proud of you. Like I want to be better.
Separate, obviously separate rooms, separate condos, all the things.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're not staying in the same Airbnb. That's crazy. Just wild.
One big bed.
Barbecuing together.
So so I'm driving down to Port Aransas.
So had you told anybody at this point? Like after
no.
you found that out? So you're just sitting with
I don't know what the fuck to process, and I'm scared out of my mind. And
but you're carrying that all by yourself.
Correct.
Oh God.
Correct. Because I'm just going to be strong and I'm going to figure it out. And honestly, had so many question marks that I knew when I call someone, they're going to have
all the questions.
At least I was assuming, and that's not fair because you know as well as I do. There's certain people that are just like, "What can I do for you?" Or I'm just going to show up and I'm going to sit with you, and you don't even have to talk. Well, my mind was find out more, figure this shit out, and then now make the calls. So I did tell my parents on the way down to the coast, said, I don't know much more than this, and I need you to just sit and listen and let me say what I need to say. And
that's real though. I haven't had a brain tumor, but I do know what it's like to give that news to your parents, and it's fucking awful.
Mm-hmm. So putting myself together to talk to them because I know automatically that's going to cause shockwaves to them. And then I'm going to be gone for the whole weekend. So it's kind of like, I don't want to do that to them either. But it's 100% necessary. They, through this, have been one of my rocks as well. And we'll talk about it in a minute about them, basically dropping their lives for months for my recovery. But telling them, putting on the smile in the face the whole weekend with kids and family and, loved ones there too as well. But what I still feel is most important is happiness and their happiness. And so we did that. It was a blessing that they all rode back with me. So I was not doing the trip back by myself.
By yourself with all that loud silence.
So,
oh God, I can't even.
So they were back with me, instantly changes my perspective. Now I'm worrying about snacks and how many freaking restroom breaks we're going to have on the way back and going, this is a 3-hour drive. Why is it going to take 5? All of those things. So back to like real shit that I'm like, I will gladly take this on to get this off my mind. Fast forward to that next week, 4 MRIs, trying to figure out what's going on. Get the call and they say, you're meeting with the neurology team ASAP. Went and met with Dr. Plum he shows me, he's like, here's the scans, here's what this means. It's something that's going to need to be removed. I'm not a neurologist, so I'm going to let them handle that. But here's some I would suggest. I called 2 people that I would hold in high regard to say, okay, in the medical field, where should I do this? I call my buddy Cowboy, and he says, if I'm going to have anyone cut open my head, this is the only person. And he's been in the medical field and military, everything his whole life. So he's one that if he says it, it's a fact. I called one other friend as well because I had reached out to a few people and they called me back and said the same name. I'm like, all right, God, I hear you. Like, this is who's going to do this. Reached out to the neurology team in San Antonio. And at that time, Dr. Plum was getting them all of my information as well. So it was a smooth transition. And I get a call the next morning after we had set up an appointment. And I'm walking the neighborhood because I ain't going to fucking sit still. Like, why am I going to sit still now?
No.
Can't go to the gym because I was told not to, so I'm going to go walk the neighborhood. So AirPods in, I see the San Antonio number call, and I answer, and it's the nurse, and he's like, what are you doing? Because you can hear me breathing loud as I'm walking and think I'm playing it off. And he's like, what are you doing, sir? And I was like, I'm walking the neighborhood. And he lights me up, like just tears me apart about, you're going to kill yourself. You've got to stop. You can't do any movements. We're seeing you tomorrow. Like, I'm calling to check on you and tell you this, this, and this. And my initial reaction was so much just built up inside. I'm like, well, fuck you. Like, who are you to tell me?
Who are you? What's your name?
I can't freaking walk. Like, yeah. And then so I did elect that person was not in the room during my surgery because I told him even there, I don't want your negative ass energy in the room with me.
Good for
That's probably
you.
the only person I really popped off to during this whole time. And well, unfortunately, he caught the brunt of it twice. But that's also when I got home, I'm like, shit, this is a lot more serious than I thought. I was getting kind of loose ends telling, hey, we're going to remove this. 6-8 weeks, you're going to be good. You'll be able to get back to work. So at this time, I'm trying to think about how I'm going to tell my kids, how I'm going to tell my ex so she can pick up the slack. And I want time frames. Like, I overplan to a fault at times, but this is substantial. I need to talk to my assistant. I need to talk to this, everyone for business, my clients, all of those things are going on. And then I get this guy telling me you can't walk. So here we are.
Yeah, but sometimes we're in those moments where I've done this where like one person just becomes a target for everything. It's not necessarily them, but it's also he was distant enough that you're like, fuck this guy. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm never going to see him again, sort of this. And so what? He had a bad Tuesday. No big deal. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure when he listens to this,
fine.
He'll be okay.
I have no doubt on that. But, we've passed each other when I've gone back for my neurology checkups and,
Do you not make eye contact? Or?
I make a point. I'll say hi. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever make up for this, but I'll at least acknowledge you.
Hello. I do want to give you a lot of credit to have had the patience to call around because I've been diagnosed multiple times. I just listened to anyone that came to me. I had nobody who I knew had experienced that yet because I was very young. It was before I got met Jen from the nonprofit. So I felt very isolated and I felt like I have cancer. It has to come out now. And I just went, instead of pausing and taking some time to figure out what reconstruction looked like, what I needed to do, it was like, boom, boom, boom. I have to do all these things. And I just want people to do it like you did it because I didn't do it that way. The third time around I did. I took my time. I tried to figure out what I wanted to do. Rushing is not always in your best interest, especially when you're trying to get the best, when you want to feel safest. Like you said, this person's fucking around in your head. Like This is your brain that controls everything. I can't wrap my head around how scary that is. This is more than, breast tissue being removed. This is you. This is you up here. I'm proud of you because I know, again, I don't know you that well, but to hear that you took the time to say, let me pause and think about this. Watching you talk about it makes me want to get emotional because I can't imagine what that was like to do that isolated, even though you chose that. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I think that I hope that through this experience, you have learned how to trust people more because there are some people, and you can put me on the fucking list. I don't care. You could call me and tell me you had a brain tumor tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, what do you know? And you tell me, I'm like, all right, cool. What do you need? Exactly. And I know because we have shared friends.
Right.
We have a lot of people like that. So please don't ever think that you have to I got to just figure it out first. Some people do. I'm one of those people. I'll hide. I'll do my hidey hole if I'm upset or I'm going through some shit. And I only let 1 or 2 people see me really down and out. But there's still that 1 or 2. So trust.
Yeah, the vulnerability was a thing. I mean, I know women deal with it too, but as a male and as a caregiver and in the role that I wanted to take and took during marriage, post-marriage, and then the thought of, I don't really know what things are going to look like moving forward, and no one could tell me really at that time that we knew black and white, this needs to be removed. I was really naive to anything after that was going to happen. I was told again to stop looking at things online, don't do that. So I really minimally did that. I did it one night and I was like, holy shit,
You
did not
regretted it?
sleep the whole night because I'm like, and then what's the point? I'm like, oh my God. And then there was a million different scenarios. What I've learned now is, with nerves is there's so many nuances. Two people can have the exact same procedure and it goes completely different. Yes. And how everything responds. But it connected me with other people as well, even leading up to the surgery that I've probably met 10 plus people that have had some sort of surgery with Dr. Bogaev since I've had mine.
It's weird too how they kind of come out of the woodworks and you're like, oh my God, like all of us have this in common. It's a strange thing. You don't want them to be part of the club, but it also makes you feel a little less alone because you can talk about that same experience that's different, but also similar. And it's kind of like you find your people and it comes to that. Because some of it, you're like, I can't tell someone else how I feel about this or how scary this is. But then when you meet someone who has experienced something just as scary, you're like, all right, I can tell you fucking anything. Yep. So you did find some people.
I did find some people. Like. A really good friend that her father had a different type of surgery, but through him, and then ran into a few others. Actually, one of my neighbors has had 2 procedures with him. Didn't know that at the time. When she found out, then we've had lengthy conversations.
Y'all trauma bonded.
That. So
yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so it was a lot of unknown, but I'm thinking, cool, let's get this out. I'm living miserably. I'm not able to function. I'm not able to do the things. It's truly now impeding me from living what is a normal life. And so for the first time in my life ever, my health was absent. Post-divorce, health was there. It's just now going, holy shit, like how do I want to navigate this?
You're like, I just want to go back to the club where swingers were hitting on me. Can I just go back to that?
Right? Go back to some ignorance is bliss at times, just in things. And so, I was able to put myself in any situation however I wanted to. Now, for the first time, I was stopped from doing the things that I enjoyed, the things that I knew that I wanted to and needed to do. And that was a really scary place because that was the first time in my life I've ever been at that point. And so now I'm going to meet this gentleman in the neurology team to tell me what, show me again the picture, talk about what that's going to look like, what the surgery is going to look like, the length of surgery, how long you're going to be in the hospital. And you look great, you're in shape, you're young enough. I'm like, well, I ain't that young anymore, but thank you for saying that. And he said, your recovery is going to be great.
Those things don't hurt in that scenario.
Sure.
Those things are definitely helpful versus an 80-year-old person going in for this. So,
well, he did kind of reiterate that a little bit. To your point is, hey, you've got to understand who I'm seeing and what I see. And he goes, and it's all ages and, people in all different conditions. Some have had these issues for many years, or this is their second or third time they're coming to me now. And so they've never really recovered from the first one. So then that playing up more shit in my head. Going, well, hold on now.
Why'd you say that
Talking
about
second, third ones. Like I'm trying to figure out this first.
This is a one and done, homie.
Correct. This is the goal, right? Are we still trying to get all of it?
One time.
So the blessing was, he said, I am fully confident I can get every part of it. We can do it in once. It's about almost a little over 2.5 inches across the back part of my brain, the cerebellum part, which makes sense with the coordination. And they said, he put it in layman's terms. He said, when someone drinks too much alcohol, the effects that they have, he said, is what you're living on a daily basis, and you've gotten used to it.
Oh, so you're just walking around like a drunky
just
drugster.
A little buzzed, I guess, all the time. And he was saying the coordination issues, the vision issues. He
Even
said
the
all of
passing
that.
out.
He said is direct correlation. Now, the way the nerves respond is what your recovery is going to look like.
So again, you're in the gray. You really don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking
like you're
someone
the worst
said
case
6
scenario.
to 8 weeks, so that's what I'm holding on to, which
Of
was
course.
the biggest fucking lie ever. But that's what I'm holding on because that's what I want to hear.
That's
I'm
also
get this done.
That's also, tell me if I'm wrong, where you actually hit rock bottom when what your expectation is nowhere fucking near that, and you're like, this is so much worse than I thought it would be.
For sure.
You get prepped. You said you're an overplanner. I'm sure you prepped for 6 to 8 weeks, as you said. You had good family, good friends come and help support. So I'm sure you had like set up something for like your kids to be taken care of. Did your ex take the kids during this time, or was this like a shared thing where like your family, your parents, your friends came and helped with the kids when it was your time? How did that work?
Sure. Yeah, no, that was a conversation had. Obviously, communicated with her on what was going on and a lot of the unknowns that I still had. But I also communicated 6 to 8 weeks because, again, I'm fucking holding on to this. This
That's
is
happening.
Great. Like, let's get this done.
I'm young. He
almost
said.
to the point of, when is it? Oh, it's in 3 days. Let's do it today. Like that's what I'm thinking. But I'm at that point oblivious to really what's going on. I think some of it was just my mind protecting myself, because when I look back on it now, I'm like, you idiot. Like you had like all of this stuff in front of you, and all you could think about was the weeks after of just being right again.
But it's like this tunnel vision, and you're looking at the end. You don't fucking pay attention to the hell you have to walk through. You're always like, that's the light. I'm going to get to it. I feel like you go into fight or flight. Like it's survival mode. That's where your brain has to go, because you can't process what this is going to be like. And because you've never been there, even if you've experienced surgeries, you've never experienced something this in depth. I mean, again, we're talking a brain, and with minimal expectations other than the quote 6 to 8 weeks, which looks different for every single person as well on a regular surgery. It sounds like you did the same. You went into a fucking survival tunnel and you had to do what you needed to do to get to the end. You're like, this is point A, we're going to point B, the end. But you literally have to walk through the fire of hell first before you get to that other side.
So yeah, I'm going to answer your question about, with kids, told, my ex and said, here's what's going on. And she said, what's one thing I can do for you during this time? And I said, I need to know the kids are good.
I'm really, really grateful that you are so open to talk about this. I think a lot of men would have a hard time, and I know that it's hard, especially your kids. They're your fucking life. Mine are my life.
Yeah, and that's where my weakness will always be, my strength and my weakness with them. But that was the one thing that I told her. I said, I want to know they're at every event, every activity, that their life doesn't change because I don't know what's going on with myself, and I don't know what this is really going to look like. So we agreed. We had a good conversation on that. And she said, okay, I'll make sure. Then they were just getting ready to start school weeks after that. So beginning of school stuff, all that chaos and stuff going on. But that was the only thing I asked. I said, I just need to know that. And then whenever I'm able to bring them, back here, I said, I would like to see them. I would like them to come to the hospital. And then whenever I'm up and moving around, obviously that was a non-negotiable. So that was the easy part as far as having that conversation, because there was no flack or kickback or I can't do this. I'm
glad to hear that.
Appreciate that.
That's actually, again, that's another plus. I some people don't have that. Yeah. So I'm grateful that was your situation and circumstance.
Sure. That was still my mindset of just give me a little bit of time.
So you're leading me to believe that was not the case.
Correct. So surgery happens. I wake up. It was a little over 3 hours surgery. Go to ICU for about the same amount of time. They told me later, but blood pressure and all the things. It was just the way I was responding, waking back up. So I'm out of it for quite a few hours. I wake up in the hospital on my side, because where they cut was directly in the middle of the back part of my hairline. Like it's about a 5-inch scar there that's mostly gone because my hair's there. And luckily I still have hair. So
chicks dig scars. Did you know that?
It's a conversation starter. If someone really looks, they can see it. But so I wake up from this, I roll over and I see my parents there. Of course, they're coming up right away. Only child. So this was everyone in the family is focused on that. I kind of, just trying to put grasp on everything. And again, first time really waking up from surgery. So all I know is my head is pounding. My heart is like, I feel like just everything is just going way too fast. And so talk to them for just a second. I couldn't even tell you what I said, but I know I'm saying stuff. And then I glance over and I look, and there's a nurse facing the other way that's at a computer, short, Hispanic, long, dark hair, curly. And I am 100% convinced it's my friend Abby. And I even tell my parents, why is Abby here? And I'm so focused on that's my focus now. And they're so confused because they're like, oh, I can see Abby, but why you keep asking? And I'm like, point. And they're like, that's not Abby. Well, this lady turns around. It's my nurse. No, definitely not Abby. But God love her. She's crazy enough that she would have broken in, put that on, and gone in there to check on me. So I was fully convinced this is happening.
Shit happened. I have some story. I have something very similar that happened. My friend actually passed away, and I went in like a week after she passed and got a gallbladder surgery. And same thing, was a nurse, but I woke up, had this similar haircut, and I kept saying, Amanda, like I had to like clear my eyes. And then I felt horrible because as soon as I realized it wasn't my friend, obviously it wasn't my friend, she had passed, I start sobbing and I just put all of that shit on that nurse. I'm like, I'm so sorry. But the shit that happens when you're in the hospital, the drugs, and then coming to, and sometimes it's hard to remember what was real and what wasn't, or what, like you said, what you even said. So Abby wasn't there. I'm sure she was. I know that girl was praying. So she was spiritually in that room with you. So once that happened and you were in the ICU, how long did you stay in the hospital, and what was that like physically? Like how was your body responding after that?
So check this out. Surgery Monday. I forced myself out of there Friday. Because I said I wouldn't stay in anymore, which was a horrible mistake.
So you were going to leave AMA, basically.
Once I got home, I realized, this is a mistake. Like,
how long did they want to keep you?
A little over a week. They just probably would have been another 2 days.
Okay.
So, and it was from some of the issues. So I wake up thinking, all right, I'll be up moving around at some point. I'm prepared for 6-8 weeks. So I wake up and then quickly realize, as they try to give me medicine, I can't really swallow this medicine. I can't get the water down. And I try to move, but I'm like, oh, I can't walk. This is weird. And then I start noticing everything in the room, and I'm like, I'm seeing double. Again, things I wasn't prepared for. Seeing double, not being able to move, as you're aware of, you've got everything connected to you. Blood pressure's going out the roof. Almost had to go back to ICU. They're trying to give me medicine. The pain was extreme to the point that morphine they could not give me anymore. And they were like, well, shoot, we got to go next level, but we can't give you anything else yet because we've maxed that out. And so I'm in extreme pain at that point. They're shifting, pivoting, trying to regulate everything again. So everything gets back to what is normal at the moment. So things are regulated, no more ICU visits, but I'm facing now the reality of I can't move, and this vision thing's driving me crazy. How long is that? So my mind immediately goes into the, what's going on here? I need answers now, which aren't coming for anytime soon.
No.
So really the first 24 hours, it's just like I'm laying there and I don't really know what's going on, nap as much as I can. All I know is if I try to lay flat on my back, there's this shooting pain there because there's this huge scar there. And, I wasn't even thinking about it. I knew it was going to be there, but you're not. Yeah. And so now I'm uncomfortable just in general. So the next day, the kids show up because we had talked about that. And there was really no warning, at that point. Like, I don't know if it's good or bad to try to over-prepare them, but they're not okay with seeing me like this.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I'm trying to put on a smile and a face, and it's okay. My youngest sees every wire connected everywhere, and he's like, stands away from the bed because he doesn't want to hurt me, doesn't know if he can he touch me? And I don't understand what's going on. My oldest was the most prepped for everything. Like, he knew. We had conversations, even with my daughter, my middle child. We had some conversations on, like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be in a hospital bed. There's going to be recovery, all the things. I'm not going to be able to do all the stuff for a little while, but I'll get back to me. And so my oldest is probably one of my more emotional ones that will just sit back, analyze, assess, and then he's going to be the last one to probably meet a new person because he's like, I'm going to figure this out first. So he's sitting back, and he'll
do well in life. He'll do well.
Yeah, he's not going to jump in and be the loudest one either in the room, but he'll assess and analyze. So he's doing that. So I'm like, okay, that's fairly normal and that's healthy. And I say a few words to him. My daughter is the natural caregiver. So she's like, tries to sit on the bed beside me, and we kind of move cords around, and we're like, yeah, you can sit here.
Aww.
But then she's even like, I'm like, baby, you can touch me. Like, you can grab my hand and stuff. So you could tell at a certain point, concerned, and now it's starting to bother them. And so I'm like, now it's bothering me too, because I can see this is affecting them. My ex at that time realizes it. My parents are there. So everyone in the room is all kind of on the same page as this is counterproductive.
Let's take them.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they did not visit me at the hospital anymore, and that was by mutual agreement.
I get that. My most recent surgery, I didn't know it was going to be as bad. If you haven't listened, it's the episode before this one, but I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. I was in the ICU as well, and I didn't, more so how I was going to be. And so I'm glad I didn't have them come visit, because that's what I was worried about. After my initial double mastectomy, I made the mistake of letting them come, and I could tell they were much younger then, but still very scared. And when you're in pain and you're scared too, you try to comfort them, but it's difficult. You can't. Sure. And so I can't imagine, you can't fucking just hold your kid and hug your kid and say it's going to be better.
I could move my arms at that time, and that was really about it.
Yeah. And so I think that's a good call that you guys decided that. I don't blame you. That had to be really difficult to be like, okay, well, when am I going to feel like I can fucking be around them and not worry them or have them be afraid to touch me? And so you still were like, no, I'm busting out of here.
Yeah. So I'm annoyed at the point. I'm saying, well, I need to walk. I need to do these things. Well, when's the vision thing going to go away? So I wore an eye patch in the hospital. So friends would come visit and family, whatever. And
You're a pirate.
Became a whole joke in itself that's going to be my new advertisement in real estate when I get out is like, I'm going to be the local, pirate realtor or whatever. So that, all those things were good with friends just to kind of break the ice and stuff. But, being self-conscious of that at first, I'm like, this is awkward and weird, but 100% necessary. So yeah, not being able to function at all, had, different specialists come in. One was about testing, what are you able to eat? What, food can we give you? What not? Struggling with that. Speech was okay. I sounded different. I didn't know I sounded different, but to everyone else, each day they were like, oh, you're starting to sound a little bit better. So this is improvement here. Day 3, I want to say, a walker comes out. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Why is that in here?
Yeah, why is that? Who's that for? Yeah, I'm like, did mom fall or something? Like, what is going on?
They're the old ones. I'm fine.
Yes.
They said I'm fine.
100%. So walker comes out and physical therapist is like, no, we're going to get you up today. And that's another, I guess, just a realization of this is really fucked up. Like, I cannot move and feeling like put your feet on the ground. But I'm like, I can't, trying to even pull myself up. Again, days before I was running at the gym and doing things, and I felt like my strength was all gone. I'm like, the last 2 years of working out is gone. Like, to even hold myself up on the walker was a challenge. So put me in the big belt and strapped me to that, and had people helping me, and trying to get just to the door and back in the hospital room was a significant challenge. And they said, well, that's enough for today. So we struggled to get back to the bed, get back in the bed, and then feel sorry for yourself moments.
Yep.
And, have those breakdowns of what just happened. Is it going to come back? I need answers. I don't know. You can't tell me. The nurses sure don't know. That's not their field, but again, they're front and center. So you're asking them a million questions. So yeah, that was the hospital was, well, if I can just get home in my mindset, what could go wrong? It's going to be better.
Yep.
Right.
And so then you said, I'm leaving, and they were like, fine, we'll let you go home. Is that basically what happened?
Basically what happened.
Okay.
That Friday, wake up, tell them, no, I'm going home today.
And at this point, are you able to walk with the walker?
Yeah, so I'm in the walker and down the hall, like even convincing my parents to, hey, grab the walker, let's go. Because I'm now at this point asking everyone to help me stand up, and I'm trying to take little steps at the walker by my bed, which ironically it was not bad. No one was frowned upon it, but I was like, I don't even care. Like, I need to get up and move. So I'm doing all of those things to the extreme.
Yeah, because you're like, this is the problem. This is a solution. Yeah. Oh, I can't walk.
That's
okay,
fine.
If I can walk, I can leave then.
Yep, I'm not afraid of the effort going into it. With my playing, sports growing up and coaching and stuff. And so I'm doing all of the things like the steps and going up and down the hall. And they were like, okay, well, you got to be able to go to the bathroom, all the things before we'll let you leave, all the traditional things. So we're praying everything's falling into place. Friends are coming to visit, and then everyone's starting to quickly realize all the shit that I'm going to need at home. They ask, are you going to hire a nurse to stay at the house with you? And my parents, who are retired, basically took on the role as my caregivers for the next multiple months and moved in with me. Wow.
That is amazing that you have family to support you like that, but also, again, a very humbling experience to have your parents come and take, as a 40-something-year-old man, to have, now you're being cared for.
Yep. And so in the hospital, my goal was, okay, well, this is a tool to get me home. They're going to help. No big deal. And it was probably weeks after when I was home. That's that very scenario you're talking about. It is humbling. I'm sitting there on the couch in the other room, and I'm like, I can't get up and get anything to drink really by myself. I'm needing help getting to the bathroom. I'm needing help trying to even get to a shower, having to sit on a chair in the shower. Didn't go ahead and buy the little chair to sit on, the medical chair.
No, why would you do that?
Not right away. Nope. I'm like, Dad, the Yeti ice chest has those no slip things at the bottom. So I'm sitting on the Yeti ice
You had a cold beer under you at least.
Yeah, so it looked really cool. But just things like that I forget about, that, when I revisit in my mind, laugh. But yeah, so no, they take on the role of, we'll just get you home. We'll help. This laundry list of medicine that they're given. I'm given a rebuttal on medicine because I'm like, I don't want to get addicted to this.
Well, I was going to say, for somebody that's relatively healthy, who probably never took, you take Tylenol in your life, and maybe like...
Yeah, well, the last couple of years I did because of all of the headaches, and that was the only time I'd ever really taken
it was your vertebrae that was twisted, so no big deal.
That was all it was.
I fucking hate taking meds, and I still now have to take a daily one, and I will argue, I'm like, do I have to though? Do I actually? Like, what are the percentages? So from going to just a Tylenol occasionally for your headaches or even every day to having multiple drugs every single day, including pain meds, I'm sure. That's, again, you're right. Like, it's a scary thing to worry about. And then functioning, period. You're already having struggle functioning. And when I'm on pain meds, I have a hard time staying awake, doing anything, finding motivation, pooping. That's another huge issue when you
I didn't
take
know that
those.
was such a going to be such an issue.
It is. And you don't, and people don't talk about it. They don't prep you for being constipated, but like on top of being uncomfortable, then you're uncomfortable even more so. So if you have this and your doctor says, ask them for like some stool softener because you're going to fucking need it. So you had struggles with all of those things. At what point do you think you finally came to the realization that, like, rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, it's the time when you give up control and you're like, fuck it, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be, and I just have to take it? How long was that in this journey? Because days are not days anymore. Time is an illusion when you're stuck in this. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but that's the days just drug on into the next day and the next day because you can't do anything.
Right. Well, and then some of the medicine was keeping me awake. So the steroids were there. And that, it was take this much in the morning, this much in the afternoon, and then evening. Well, it was like, well, that's keeping you up. Okay, well, now I have hiccups for 48 hours straight. And so it was just like each week, I felt like a week was a new challenge. Honestly, it was probably every 24 to 48 hours. There was a different struggle that I was overcoming. The good thing is once I got through one of those things, that usually didn't come back, but then it was another shit show that I was sure as heck not prepared for. Hiccups were one of the worst things of the whole process.
For 2 days?
For 2 days. So I'm literally on the couch falling asleep because I'm so exhausted and hiccup and it would wake me up. So I was falling asleep for my mom was telling me this. She was like, you would literally fall asleep and the next hiccup would wake you up. And there was no medicine they could give me. And so, of course, I'm sending that out to friends. Well, then they're sending that out to the rest of our friends. And I'm getting overwhelmed, or my parents' phone too, of try this, try this, try this. Oh, hold your head upside down. I'm like, I am not allowed to even lay flat at this point because the headaches.
The pressure and all
right.
of that.
So that was another thing, is just a recliner or prop myself up on the couch. But if I got my head anywhere close to level ground, it was just instant headaches.
And friends are people that are supporting, they mean well, they feel helpless watching, right? So they're like, what can I do to help this person? But sometimes it's hard because as the person going through it, you're like, this is overwhelming. I can't in hindsight's 2020, right? Like I always tell people, you don't know until you go through it. But like when you're going through a hard time, there are some things you're going to need. You're probably going to need meals. You're probably going to you needed someone to be here. And when it comes to kids, you might need people to come help. Even little shit like mowing your lawn, like things that you don't think about. So prepping for those things is always something that I tell people now. Again, I didn't realize this until later. And I'm sure you had the same thing where like you're in the moment and you're like, damn, I really wish I would have set this up first. But it sucks because like as much as they're trying to help in those times, it's overwhelming. Yeah. You can have too much help sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. And no one was ever at fault of trying to do that.
No, of
but
course
there was
not.
a lot of people. So there was a group message. Gus would reach out to my parents. They'd give them some updates. And I was like, well, hold on now. Let's not say everything, like certain things, like whatever. And my parents are very reserved. So I wasn't necessarily worried about that. But here's what I want them to know and other things. And we'll just...
Don't tell them I'm showering on the Yeti cooler, okay? Or about my poops.
Right, yeah. But just bring it over. I still need help.
But I need the Yeti cooler. Though.
Yes,
Can you get it?
goodness.
By the way, Yeti, if you're listening, Aaron can help you sell these as medical
Make a chair version of it. We got this. Put a little ice chest under it too.
He gets a percentage. Okay. Anyway.
So there is that group message that's going on. I'm not really able to eat the food that's getting brought over every day. So I'm trying to. Certain things were easier to eat than others. It's slowly coming back, but my parents ate like kings and queens for a little while, which was wonderful. Honestly, that made me feel good because even if I'm like, I can't eat that, I'm like, I know they're taken care of. And that was very appreciated by me, just the community. So there was a whole group taking different days, even to the point sometimes there were 2 different groups bringing food in the same day. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to have to start freezing some of this stuff. Like all of that was taken care of. Yard work my dad loves doing that. So I'd hear lawnmower crank up. I'm like, oh, you mowed yesterday. Like, really? You're doing this again? But all of those things were falling in place. So I knew that was there. Kids were obviously missing me. I'm missing them, but I'm not really in a state either. So,
well, especially after your hospital situation,
correct.
I'm sure that made you a little bit leery of doing it again until you felt ready.
So they're showing up after school. School has started. They get dropped off at the, in the neighborhood off the bus. And so the agreement was, we'll let them stay here for 30 minutes, an hour maybe, to where they can see me. I can see them, hear about their day really quickly. Then they go back and, kind of start their evening and day over. I quickly realized once they started showing up how bad I was. I was really struggling with almost literally having my mom prop me up on a couch, take the walker away, take the eye patch away, do all these things, like put all that stuff away that's scaring them, and rightfully so, and trying to just put on this face for a little bit because I didn't want to scare them, but I wanted them here when they could. So that was another whole just mental struggle for them and me at those times.
Especially when you don't know when it's coming back, if it's coming back. Like you're sitting there wondering.
Yeah, it's been weeks at this point, and I'm wondering.
You're like, 6 weeks is 3 weeks away.
Correct.
That's
So that whole downward path towards the 6 weeks and going, double vision still there, still not eating right, walking on my walker in the house, but I'm getting fucking tired of doing this. I'm mentally exhausted. I'm very aware of everything. I'm fighting a different struggle every 24 to 48 hours. The hiccups sent me back to the ER. It cut open all of I was hiccuping so much that it opened up all the
Your incision opened? No
so
way.
Go to the ER.
Oh my God.
Get that, stapled up, doing all the things.
It's like, this can't get any worse. Now hold my fucking beer. Here you go. Here's some more shit. Hiccups. Like the most
never would have thought
benign thing on the planet, right? And then you have a brain surgery and it's like, no, actually it's your arch nemesis. Like that is...
So all of those things are adding up now, pain and medicine, and this medicine works, but that medicine doesn't work. Well, then we're finding out, well, you're taking this because to counter that and vice versa. And I said, well, if I just don't take all three of those, we're good, right? And so I'm playing that role too of trying to, in my mind, if I can get just to Tylenol, it's a win. Screw all the rest of it. I'll throw it all away tomorrow. Well, that wasn't reality. So we're scaling it down, but now mentally it's starting to weigh on me. The missing the kids, not really able to be there. Life, what I considered normal during marriage, then post-marriage, but I'm still running around doing all the things to now this, and I have no control over my life, and it gets real quiet for a while there. And a couple of days go by to where I wake up in the other room, because it would be the darkest, it's like the kids' playroom, because the couch allows me to sit up. There's a chase in there, so it gives me a little bit more room. Literally waking up and going, when's the next day, because there's nothing I can do today. And now I'm telling myself that, and I'm not feeling good, but now I'm not wanting to walk on the walker anymore. Screw it, eating. Eating's a struggle. Why I even bother with that? So I'm going down this path quickly. And that's when you ask about rock bottom, they're literally sitting there going, I don't know, like, what's the point of this? I'm sitting here and I can't do anything. I can't take care of anyone. Can't even take care of myself. My parents are literally here as a grown man with kids, with a career, all these things, and I cannot take care of myself. And that all hits me. Gosh, I don't even know what week that was, but it's weeks after being at home. And my parents were very aware of it. They're seeing it happen. I'm thinking no one notices. I'm just going to sit in this dark room because light sensitivity now is added to the double vision. So that's another struggle. And so it's getting like worse in my opinion. Nothing's really fixing. I'm almost at 6 weeks and I should be up and moving. And I think in my mind, I'm telling myself I'm worse than when I got home from the hospital.
Right.
And so having those thoughts of just give me these freaking pills to numb me and take the headache away, and I just go to sleep, and then maybe tomorrow is going to be better, and wake up the next day and it's the same thing. And so I'm in that mindset quickly, like depression setting in that I had never experienced before. And so this is new to me, but I'm also just kind of diving into it. Day 3 of that, my dad comes, I'll never forget, comes in the room in the morning. He's like, oh, you're up? Just kind of like, yeah. He goes, I've watched you do this. And my dad doesn't cuss hardly ever. But when he talks and he raises his voice a certain way, because this never happens, it gets your attention. And he's like, I've watched you do this shit for the last 3 days. He said, I've been there. He had a major eye injury when I was a kid. He said, I sat in the dark and I felt sorry for myself and I didn't care about this, didn't care about that. And he goes, I've lived it and I'm watching you do this shit and I'm tired of it. You need to get your ass up. And so that was the turning point of I'm not at rock bottom anymore, because I was very comfortable just sitting in that state. And so knowing that he had been through some stuff, and then him jumping my ass, and rightfully so. Gave me a moment to feel sorry for myself. Closed the door. I got mad. Then I cried. And then I was like, he's right. So I grabbed my walker. Well, I'm going to show them. Busted open the double doors, walked the shit out of that walker around the house on the tile floor for like 30 minutes, and he's right. And I'm like, okay, I need to apologize. I need to tell him he's right, all the things. But doing that was man to man going, I hear you. I acknowledge you 100%. But it was scary to think now, looking back on it, as to how I came from just running crazy, all the things, to now at that point, I was like, I'm just freaking sit here in the dark every day.
I hope that you know that's very normal for somebody who is enduring what you're enduring, and that I think most people hit that spot. I did, and it's a different circumstance, but I will say, multiple times in my life, I've had where I've hit it. The only difference is like once you've gone there one time, you still go there again, but it's a fucking vacation. The worst one ever. I tell my friends the same with grief. It's a vacation. You can't fucking live there. You're entitled to sit in the dark for a little bit. But when your dad came in there and kicked you in the ass, I feel like what he also did is gave you hope. You said he's done something like that. And sometimes you need that to remind yourself, like, he's done this hard shit. I can do this hard shit. And he also cared enough to say that to you. And fuck yeah, good for you for being able to like get up and you're like, I'll show him. I don't know. Again, I don't know your dad or you that well, but I would say that you getting up and doing that is all he needed. He needed to know that you could get up and do that. And you did. So like I know you said man to man, I owed him this. I think all he needed was to see that you were going to be okay. Cause on the flip side, as a parent, I can't even imagine watching I don't care if they're adults or not. Those are my babies,
right,
going through what you were enduring, watching your son, your only child, go through that. That had to be fucking horrible. And he probably just was like, what do I do? And to be able to get you up. So like, I love your dad just hearing that. And I'm so proud of you, like to be able to do that. Cause he could have said whatever. At the end of the day, Aaron, you had to make your mind up to do that. You could have just sat there and let yourself waste away, but that's not who you are. And he didn't raise you to be that way, evidently. So fuck yeah. Obviously, that was just the beginning of you hit the rock bottom and you're like, now I got to crawl back out. And it's not like an epiphany where you're like, I'm fine now.
Yeah, everything's good. It's almost 6-8 weeks. So here we go. No,
yeah.
It was, then rehab started not long after that. Signed up for rehab, went back to meet with the neuro team a couple times. Scared out of my mind to walk into the hospital. Like, I'm sure you've experienced that, but remember getting dropped off, take my walker out of the car, I get to the double doors open up, and I just can't walk. All of a sudden, I can't move. I'm just frozen there. I know other people are trying to come in and out, so I literally just go around the corner to a bench, and I sit there, put my cap on real low, and just break down. And I don't know why, because all of those emotions, I'm like, I haven't been through that before. And I'm just going, why can't I walk into this building? Like, what's going on? Because
when you did the last time something super traumatic happened, I mean, that's still type of like PTSD or anxiety that if you've never been an anxious person, it seems so jarring and foreign. And yeah, of course, I get it every time I get a scan now. Like I always, to the point that I'm like, they're like, do you need meds? Because I'm freaking out and I can't control what's on that. It's the same when you go get a fucking brain surgery, you feel trapped in the hospital, then you go home and it's even worse. Your whole life has changed. Yeah. And now you just got to waltz back in there with your walker. Like your life changed. That's traumatic. So that sounds like what you were doing is having a fucking anxiety attack, basically, which is so valid.
So each time going back, that was always a big win for me of feeling less anxious walking in, but I didn't want anyone to look at me. Like that was, for whatever reason, that was just a thought in my mind. Everyone's staring at me. I'm not me. I'm not able to function right. So I don't even want to walk in there. My mom came around the corner and asked what's going on. I was like, I can't explain it. I'm here and I need to sit here for a minute. And she sat there with me. And then dad went and parked the car and come around and he's kind of like sees us. He's like, oh shit, like, what's going on here? Like, y'all should be out there by now. And I'm like, I know we're going to be late, but I just need a moment. And so got in there. Those little steps now, like looking back throughout the process, were all little wins. Just, you got to do the hard shit sometimes. And
you don't know it then. You have no idea.
No,
then.
All I know is I have like this paralysis to where I don't know why, but when I get close to that fucking door, weird shit comes over me and I want to avoid it at all costs. So got good checkups. I walk in, the surgeon is like the most positive person you'll ever meet. Walks in, he gives me a hug. He's like, "You look great," this and that. I'm like, "Well, I sure don't fucking feel great." Like he's like, "You're amazing," telling me all these great things, and and that's been him. Like, when I still go visit him, he is literally that same person from the moment I met him, and everyone else that I've talked to of him has the exact same story. So like, he's just that person. So yeah, he gives me clearance to start the rehab, and he was like, "We'll go and just see what that's like," and start going to a rehab facility twice a week, and they give me bands and stuff to start working on at home. I overdo the shit to where I am miserable. Like, I am in pain, body hurts, headaches, all the things, because I'm overdoing it. I am not really ready for it. Like, not to that extreme. I was ready to do certain things, but if I can do that, well, why can't I do that?
Right, but you set yourself back when you do that.
Correct.
Yeah, I do the same. I'm my own worst enemy. It's cool. Yep. I get it.
So I had to actually stop that for a little while because it was just way too much. That was kind of an agreed upon thing. And so the goal was then to walk down the freaking driveway and try to get to the street without falling on my face. So that was the next thing. And then get to the stop sign, then be able to do a lap back here in the back part of the neighborhood. So those little things became goals each day. And once I got to that point, small victories start happening. I know everyone else could see it. I didn't always, but I knew that was a little bit better. But there's just weird things that were going on. And then I would get these weird shooting pains in my head, but it wasn't like severe pain, but I could feel stuff. And I'm like, something's going on. 2 days later, something would go away. 2 days after I had shooting pain from the back of my head to behind my eyeballs, I woke up 2 days later and my vision was back to normal.
What? Like,
I could feel it, and that was the weirdest thing. There was like this sensation going from the back part about where the surgery was, and I could feel it going.
And it stayed?
And it stayed.
Forever. Till today. Not forever.
No eye patch on, so we're good.
You're not a sexy pirate realtor guy. That's
had to
wild.
Put that to rest, but there were just weird little odd things throughout this whole thing, and so I would feel uncomfortable in certain areas, and then I'm telling you, within a couple of days, something was improved.
Wow, that is crazy. Well, and so, I mean, we're talking 2023, right? 2024.
Yes.
Right? So now we just started 2026. Yep. And physically, where are you at now?
Now I am almost back to where I was at the very beginning. I'm released of all restrictions. So back at the gym 4 days a week, I'm walking the neighborhood because walks in the sun were the biggest saving grace that I had just on my recovery. Whether I'm listening to a podcast, whether I'm listening to music I want to, or just getting out. But that was one of the things I said during my recovery. If you can just get outside in the sun and walk, whether it's at the park, whether it's in the neighborhood, we really don't care, but do that. So that has stuck with me. So on the days I'm not at the gym, I will go somewhere outdoors and do something. But yeah, no, physically, I don't feel like there's any restrictions. I had lingering things. I went back for an actual pensioner. Ironically,
which is terrifying, right? Because you're like, what is that for real? What is that?
Really? Like, what's going on now? But my behind my right shoulder, if I started moving that right arm too much, I would slowly feel this numbness going down. So, and after surgery, that was one of the weird things is I couldn't really grip very good with my right hand. And that lingered for 13, 14 months. My pointer finger, my middle finger would go numb consistently. And it was a little bit of a pinched nerve, and we started treating it. But they said the best thing you can do is what you're already doing is your workout bands and getting back to the gym. They're saying those are one of the things. I will feel some awkwardness in that arm a little bit, but if that's what it is ongoing, okay.
You'll take it.
Yeah, I'll gladly take it. It reminds me of the journey and the path. I'm like, whatever. This is a hell of a lot worse before. I couldn't hold a coffee cup in that hand because I didn't trust myself. And now it's not stopping me. There's a few little things like that linger. Every once in a while I do something and I'm like, well, that's different.
Yeah, but it's a reminder. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a bad reminder. It's just like you've come really far and you should be very, very proud of yourself. Some people don't. I know it may not seem like a choice, but some people do not let themselves move past the hard. They just sit in it and they let it rob them of joy and happiness and all of those things. And to like watch you. And I didn't know any of this about you up until recently. And then to actually sit and hear what you have to say, like, first of all, you're a fucking miracle. That's incredible. Your kids have an inspirational dad to look up to. You should be very, very proud of yourself. Your parents should be very proud of their son. I'm not going to cry. I want to cry. You pushed and you've been strong and you've found your strength. And I hope that people understand that even though you struggle or cry or break the fuck down or even sit in your pity party where you're the only VIP invited to it, no one else, just you, that does not mean you're weak. That means you have to gather, you have to take rest sometimes. And sometimes you have to hit those low points to find your strength. And you have. And I'm, again, like, who you are, just keep fucking being you, man. Like, keep doing it, keep inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story. Out of all of this, what do you think are some positive things that you can take from the hardest shit you ever went through?
Well, knowing that you can get through it. It might look different than what you had at one time planned, because I promise you, at 24 years old, in general, even now, in adversity that I've gone through, that wasn't ever part of the plan.
Is it on your bingo card?
Which, again, I didn't, it's like, you tell God your plans, you're like, oh, that was cute, like, of course. But I am in a different place now with stronger relationship with God, stronger relationship with my parents because of going through that. Those days that were very dark, I know were probably even equally as bad for them in a different way, because they were sitting there watching it and feeling helpless. But friends that are still here that I talk to daily, there's deeper, stronger relationships than I could have ever created had I have gone through what was just the blissful, normal, traditional life. I hadn't had any major adversity for most of my life. I mean, yes, minimal shit, but real stuff, and there's substance to it. And I've had an opportunity to talk to people that have said, I just want to ask you some questions, or, hey, you experienced this, can you give me some insight? And it might be a completely different topic, but it's given me a forum to help others in ways that I never could have purposely dreamt to do that. But what I take away is the strengthening the faith with God and just having a different mindset on what's important. Because when I was sitting there in the dark and then I started getting a little bit better, all I could think about was, okay, what are you missing out on now? And when you get right, because I was on the upper path at this point, right. When you get right, you remember these things, because that's what you need to focus on when you get back to right. So it's given a very good perspective on important things, or some other shit happens and I'm like, not that really that big of a deal anymore.
I love it. I think we got to end this thing on a great note. So as we always do, because you surely are alive, and so am I. So we're going to do our high five, and it better be a good one. And still, we're going to use that hand. All right, ready? High five. Still alive. Now do your evil laugh.